Today, our mission. Well, it's really focused on freedom. Not just, personal freedom in the abstract, but real financial freedom. That feeling of peace of mind.
Yeah, that deep sense that you're okay, that you can weather storms.
Exactly. The ability to truly architect your life, completely on your own terms, independent of a paycheck or what the market's doing day to day.
And look, if you're thinking that kind of freedom just comes down to luck, like hitting some lottery number,
Right.
well, you're really missing the core idea here.
Right.
The deep insight we've pulled from all these sources is pretty clear: your financial future. It's largely predictable.
Predictable. How so?
Well, not by looking at your bank balance right now. That's a lagging indicator.
Okay.
It's predicted by the mental architecture you're building today. Seriously. How you think, how you act, how you fundamentally see the world around you. That is the truest predictor of future wealth.
So we've basically gone through a huge stack of research, behavioral studies, case histories, all sorts of things.
A mountain of it. And we've tried to distill it down to what the sources consistently call the 10 clear signs that predict, future richness.
And let's be clear, this isn't just some motivational fluff piece.
No, definitely not.
This is meant to be a detailed, actionable blueprint. We're really going deep on the specific habits, the intentional mindset that seems to separate people who just chase money.
From those who actually structure their lives to attract it. There's a difference.
A huge difference. So think of this as a kind of shortcut, a way to understand the strategic mental frameworks you need. Let's start with what we're calling the strategic blueprint.
Okay.
This covers how future millionaires seem to structure their time, their systems, and their relationship with capital itself.
All right, let's dive in. We kick off with sign number 1. You think long-term.
This one sounds basic, maybe, but honestly, its execution is probably the most powerful differentiator when it comes to building real wealth.
And the biggest hurdle for most people. It's what we call the short-term trap. It's everywhere. People are just optimized for immediate gratification.
Right now.
Yeah, they want fast money, quick wins, the immediate buzz you get from, consuming things.
That instant dopamine hit. You get an extra $1,000, and the first thought for so many people is, what experience can I buy right now to feel good?
Exactly. And that linear thinking, that immediate reward focus, it's the absolute enemy of any kind of exponential growth.
So how do the wealthy think differently here?
The ones who build durable wealth, the kind that lasts generations, they use time itself as a weapon. They leverage it.
A weapon? How?
They're just not interested in temporary pleasure or, looking rich today. They're obsessed with investing in things that grow, often slowly at first, but exponentially over years.
Like what?
Foundational skills, crucial relationships and networks, and, of course, appreciating assets. They're playing what Charlie Munger called the compounding game. It's all about the long haul.
Okay, the sources had a really good illustration of this long game thinking. Let's break that down. Imagine two people, right? They both get an extra $1,000 this month.
Okay, same starting point.
Yep. Person A, what do?
Person A sees that $1,000 as disposable income straight away.
Buy something nice.
Yeah, maybe a luxury item, tickets to a show, the latest gadget, whatever. Instant pleasure. Feels good in the moment.
Okay. Now, person B, different approach.
Totally different. Maybe they set aside, say, $500 for regular living expenses. Fine. But the critical step is they invest the other $500.
Invest how? Stocks.
Could be. But let's use the example of investing in themselves. Learning a high-value, scalable skill.
Like what kind of skill?
Something like mastering advanced data analysis, or getting really good at optimizing digital ad spend for businesses. Something that allows them to generate disproportionate value. They're investing in their human capital.
Okay, so $500 into learning, $500 into living. Person A spent it all. Fast forward, how long?
Let's say 12 months. 1 year later.
What's the situation?
Person A, they've got some nice memories. Maybe the gadget's already outdated, and their bank account is, maybe slightly lower.
Right. And person B?
Person B has internalized a skill that fundamentally changes their earning potential, their income trajectory.
How so?
Well, if they can now use that skill, that $500 investment, to land just one freelance gig where they charge, say, $100 an hour.
Okay.
Or maybe they leverage that new skill at their job to negotiate a, let's say, 20% salary increase, that initial $500. It could be yielding potentially $5,000 per month in extra income within that year.
Wow. Okay, that's That's a huge difference.
The compounding consequence is immense. It shifts the whole focus. It's not about making $1,000 once.
It's about building the capability to earn $5,000 again and again and again.
Exactly. So if you're listening right now, find yourself already prioritizing future income potential over that immediate, fleeting enjoyment, well, you're already operating on the timescale of a future millionaire.
That's sign one, thinking long-term.
And that strategic thinking about time, it flows perfectly into sign number 7. You focus on building systems, not just working more hours.
This is a big one. The shift from employee mindset to, well, owner mindset, right?
Absolutely. Most people are just conditioned, trained really, to trade their time directly for money. It's a linear deal.
Need 10% more cash, work 10% more hours, or find a slightly better paying job.
Right, but that whole approach, it's fundamentally capped. There are only 24 hours in a day. You can't make more time.
So true financial freedom,
Yeah.
the kind where you can actually step away, take a vacation, and the income doesn't just stop.
That requires building systems. We're talking about actual mechanisms that generate value, generate revenue, create efficiency, independent of your direct moment-to-moment effort.
That's leverage.
That is leverage. That's how you get it.
But you hear the term passive income thrown around a lot, and honestly, it often feels like a bit of a myth, doesn't it?
It can be misleading, yeah.
I mean, our audience knows even a successful business or a solid investment portfolio needs ongoing work, management, strategy, reinvestment. It's not zero effort.
That's a really important distinction to make. You're right. The sources are clear. Passive doesn't mean zero effort. It means nonlinear effort.
Nonlinear effort. Okay, unpack that.
A great system is one where, yes, you put in work up front, maybe a lot of work, but then the effort required to serve the next customer or make the next dollar is significantly less. The marginal cost of distribution might be near zero.
Or you can delegate the execution reliably.
Exactly. So think about things like intellectual property, software code you write once, or a really popular piece of content like a viral video or a blog post that keeps getting traffic, a published book, an automated e-commerce store.
What makes something like, say, software or an online course a true system in the sense?
Scalability. That's the magic word. You put in the effort once, the coding, the writing, the recording. Huge effort, maybe. But then, whether one person buys it or 10,000 people buy it, your time investment doesn't really increase proportionally. Maybe a little for support, but not directly tied to sales.
You've decoupled your time from the income stream.
Perfectly put. You've broken the direct link.
Yeah.
And that freedom, that ability to literally earn while you sleep, that is the non-negotiable definition of sustainable, scalable wealth.
So if you find yourself, spending your downtime thinking about automation, leverage, how to make things run without you,
then you're already thinking in terms of building systems. That's sign 7.
okay, long-term thinking, building systems, which leads us nicely to sign number 9. You think about multiplying money, not just making it.
This kind of completes the strategic trio for managing capital.
And it sounds simple, but
It's the brutal simplicity of basic financial literacy, but applied consistently. The average person, they focus relentlessly on the gross number on their paycheck. How much did I earn this month?
whereas the wealthy individual,
They focus on what the sources often call capital deployment. It's not just about getting the money. It's about what you do with that money once you have it.
the focus shifts to multiplication.
Exactly. The whole strategic question flips on its head.
It stops being how can I get a raise, although that's still relevant.
Sure, but the primary wealth building question becomes, how can I make the capital I already possess, my savings, my investments, how can I make that grow on its own, exponentially?
This is where really understanding leverage and compounding is absolutely critical, isn't it?
It's everything. The goal shifts. It's not just about saving money anymore. Saving is linear. It's defensive. It shifts to actively investing money. That's potentially exponential. That's playing offense. Wealthy people tend to view a dollar not just as something to spend, but as a seed they need to plant immediately so it can start growing.
And that planting, that investing, it requires enormous patience, doesn't it? And a real shift in how you see money.
Totally. You're using your current capital to buy assets, things that do the heavy lifting for you.
Could be stocks, could be real estate.
Yeah. Buying high-growth equities, investing in income-producing real assets, maybe even allocating capital back into those scalable systems we just talked about to fuel their growth.
But you have to be able to stomach the ups and downs, right? The volatility.
Oh, absolutely. The ability to tolerate market swings, business cycles, and just trust the long-term upward curve of compounding, that's essential. You need courage.
Courage to put capital at risk.
Yes, but again, not recklessly, strategically. Knowing that even a relatively small, consistent return, when compounded over a decade or two, is far more powerful financially than almost any linear salary increase you could get.
It's about turning your main income source, maybe your job.
Into just the first source, and then using that capital to create many other streams through smart deployment.
So if you find yourself checking your investment portfolio's growth rate more often than you look at your monthly payslip,
That's a pretty good sign you've unlocked the multiplication mindset.
it's like seeing that dollar bill not just as something to trade for coffee, but as a tiny employee.
A miniature, indefatigable employee.
Yeah, that you send out immediately to start working 24/7 for you.
That's a perfect way to think about it. Exactly.
Okay, so that covers the strategic blueprint. Long-term thinking, system building, multiplying capital. Let's pivot now. Let's move into the emotional and psychological side of things. The framework needed to actually execute these strategies.
Right, because strategy without execution is just theory.
We're calling this section Resilience and Calculated Action. It covers signs 2, 5, and 8, basically, how future millionaires approach problems, risk, and growth.
Yeah, because let's face it, building wealth isn't some smooth, easy road trip.
Far from it.
It's usually riddled with setbacks, obstacles, failures. This framework explains how successful people navigate that inevitable friction.
We start with sign number 2, seeing opportunities, not obstacles. And the observation here from the sources is really striking.
What is it?
It's that successful people. They face the exact same problems, the same walls, the same frustrations as everyone else. The difference isn't the problem. It's their neurological response to the problem.
Okay, explain that. What's the typical response?
When most people hit a challenge, maybe new regulation hurts their industry, the market crashes, a business deal falls through. The immediate feeling is often fear, frustration, maybe anger. They complain.
They see a wall and they assume, okay, dead end.
Exactly. They assume it's an absolute stopping point. They look for the easy way out, the path of least resistance, or sometimes they just quit, give up.
And the entrepreneurial thinkers,
Yeah.
the future millionaires.
They see the exact same wall, but their brain almost instantly reframes it. It registers as an unmet need, a gap in the market.
So instead of, oh no, a wall, it's
Okay, how do I climb over this thing? Or even better, wait a minute. If this wall is stopping me, it must be stopping millions of other people too. How do I build the ladder, the tool, the service that helps everyone get over it?
and then monetize that solution.
Bingo. Find the problem. Provide the scalable solution.
That really is the foundational rule of wealth creation, isn't it? The world pays people who solve problems, especially if they solve them efficiently and at scale.
Think about it. Every single valuable product, every innovation we rely on, from something simple like a zipper to complex cloud computing,
It exists because someone looked at an inconvenience, a pain point, a frustration, and successfully reframed it as a business opportunity.
and the sources also point out a crucial emotional signal here.
Which is,
When challenges pop up, these individuals tend to feel excited, not scared.
excited by problems. That sounds counterintuitive.
Well, it's not like blind optimism. It's more like an internal recognition. Their gut tells them, whoa, this is a big problem.
which
A
implies
big potential payday if a clever solution can be found and scaled. It's a fundamental shift from feeling like a victim of circumstances to seeing yourself as a solver of problems.
that drive, that need to overcome problems, it leads directly into sign number 5. You manage risk, you don't fear it.
Yeah, this one tackles a core human instinct. Most people are just neurologically wired for safety, for security, predictability.
It makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint. Our ancestors survived by avoiding threats, maintaining the status quo. Risk often meant danger, even death.
But in today's financial world, that instinct can be a huge liability if you prioritize maximum safety above all else.
You severely limit your potential for maximum reward. You just do.
Wealth creation, almost by definition, requires taking risks. You can't expect outsized returns by just sticking your money in a standard savings account, earning next to nothing.
But, and this is critical, we need to be incredibly precise here. When we talk about risk, we are not talking about gambling.
Good point. What's the difference?
Gambling is driven by emotion, by hope, maybe desperation. It lacks real analysis. What we're talking about is calculated risk.
Okay, so how do the wealthy, or those on that path, define and practice calculated risk? What's their process look like?
It's usually highly systematic. It's not just a gut feeling, though intuition plays a role. First, deep research is absolutely non-negotiable. They dig in.
Understand the landscape.
Exactly. They conduct meticulous scenario planning. They try to weigh the pros, the cons, the probabilities and different outcomes, what could go right, what could go wrong, how likely is each.
And then
Second, and this is maybe the most important part, they define their maximum acceptable loss before they pull the trigger, before they act.
they know their downside limit up front.
Precisely. They know exactly where their stop-loss point is, both financially and sometimes professionally or reputationally. They ask, how much can I afford to lose on this bet if it goes completely wrong?
So the goal is always to minimize that potential downside while maximizing the potential upside. It's asymmetrical.
That's the essence of it. It's
Yeah.
not about being fearless or brave without analysis. That's recklessness. It's about applying courage with direction, backed by data and a clear understanding of the worst-case scenario.
Every successful entrepreneur, every serious investor has had to take significant leaps at some point, right?
Absolutely. Think about it. Starting a business that potentially eats up your life savings. Quitting a stable, high-paying executive job to chase an unproven idea. Making a massive, concentrated investment when others are fearful.
Those take immense courage.
They do, but crucially, that courage is usually underpinned by a cold, hard assessment of the downside risk. The internal voice they listen to isn't one of denial. It'll definitely work.
It's more like an auditor.
Exactly. It's asking, okay, let's be realistic. If I lose 100% of this investment, this time, this energy, will it ruin me? Will it take me completely out of the game?
And if the answer is no,
If the answer is no, it would hurt, but I'd survive, I could recover, then the potential upside often justifies making the attempt. They manage the risk profile of the venture itself.
and once they've done that calculation, if the downside is survivable,
They execute decisively. That decisiveness is key. They don't get paralyzed by the fear of what if. They gather the data, set their boundaries, make the assessment, and then they act.
that distinction between recklessness and data-driven, downside-aware courage, that seems to be the absolute heartbeat of this sign.
It really is. And this ability to act despite fear, to manage risk effectively, brings us straight to sign number 8. You're comfortable being uncomfortable.
The comfort zone, or rather the discomfort zone.
This is the psychological muscle. It's what allows people to actually execute those calculated risks and keep pursuing difficult problems when things get tough.
It's weird when you think about it. If you look across the board at really successful people in almost any field, they seem to share this almost bizarre trait of actively seeking out discomfort.
Right. They consistently do the things that would scare the average person half to death.
Like what? Making a high-stakes public presentation, cold calling a really difficult potential client, operating for months or years with acute financial uncertainty breathing down your neck.
All of the above. Because they understand, maybe intuitively or maybe explicitly, a fundamental truth about human development. Growth never happens inside your comfort zone. It just doesn't.
Comfort is like a psychological plateau.
Exactly. And if you stay on that plateau too long, you stagnate. Discomfort, on the other hand, that feeling of anxiety of being stretched, that's the necessary signal that you're actually pushing your boundaries, expanding your skills, growing your capacity.
And the sources emphasize, this discomfort isn't just about the financial side, is it?
No, not at all. It's mental and emotional, too. Think about it. Your first big business idea, it might totally fail. Your first significant investment, you might lose money right out of the gate. You launch a new product or service, and you get hit with harsh, maybe unfair criticism.
Those are emotionally taxing experiences. They hurt.
Absolutely they do. But here's the key difference in mindset. These failures, these uncomfortable experiences, they aren't treated as final judgments. They're not seen as ultimate setbacks.
They're seen as what?
As tuition, the cost of education in the real world. They teach you invaluable lessons about what the market actually wants, about customer behavior, about your own endurance and resilience lessons you simply cannot get from reading a book or sitting in a classroom.
They're like hard-earned data points for the next attempt.
Precisely. So people on this path, they actively, intentionally push themselves beyond what feels easy or safe. And in doing so, they simultaneously grow their financial intelligence, their mental resilience to stress and pressure, and their emotional capacity to handle chaos and uncertainty.
So if you can learn to associate that feeling of anxiety, that nervousness, not with a signal to retreat, but with the potential for massive growth,
Then you are operating with the mindset of a future winner. That ability to push through fear, lean into the discomfort, and take action anyway. That's a true indicator of inner strength, which often precedes outer wealth.
That's a really powerful transition into our third major theme, self-mastery and environment. So we've covered the strategic planning, we've covered the resilience in action. Now let's talk about intentionally cultivating your own mind and the world immediately around you.
Right. This is about the internal work and managing your inputs. We're diving into signs 3, 4, and 6 here. These focus on intellectual habits, emotional discipline, and the strategic curation of your social circle.
Okay, starting with sign number 3. You value learning over earning. This seems to be about an obsession almost with continuous self-improvement, being a lifelong student.
Yeah, curiosity is the engine of compounding growth and knowledge. Wealthy individuals, or those building towards it, they generally don't assume they have arrived or know everything.
They operate from a place of knowing what they don't know.
Kind of, yeah. A place of perpetual curiosity, maybe even a healthy sense of intellectual deficiency. They're constantly looking to fill gaps in their knowledge, understand new perspectives, and critically, they engage in active learning.
What do you mean by active learning? Not just passively consuming info.
Exactly. It's not just scrolling headlines or watching random videos. It's deep reading, analytical listening, really trying to understand the argument someone is making and constantly asking questions, especially questions designed to challenge their own existing assumptions and biases.
And we see concrete examples of this, right? The sources often mention people like Warren Buffett.
Oh, famously. Dedicating, what, over 80% of his workday just to reading and thinking, studying annual reports, economic history, business biographies, failures. He's constantly building and refining his mental models of how the world works.
And it's not just limited to finance, is it?
Not at all. Look at someone like Elon Musk. He essentially taught himself aerospace engineering and advanced battery technology primarily through intense self-study, reading complex scientific papers and textbooks.
They understood something fundamental.
They understood that investing time in learning isn't a cost. It's not wasted time away from earning. It's an investment in the most valuable asset class they possess, their own brain.
An asset that potentially offers unlimited returns and doesn't depreciate like a car.
Exactly. And the knowledge compounds. The more you learn, the more connections you can make, the more patterns you can spot, the better questions you can ask. It increases your optionality.
Optionality. How so?
Well, broader knowledge reduces the real risk in those calculated decisions we talked about. Sign 5, because you have a better, wider contextual understanding of the situation. You can spot opportunities or threats that someone limited to just one narrow domain might completely miss.
So learning is like the foundational leverage point for everything else.
It truly is foundational, but just having raw knowledge isn't enough if you can't apply it steadily, if your emotions are constantly hijacking your decisions.
Which leads us perfectly to sign number 4, controlling emotions for financial control.
Yes. This link. It's often downplayed in generic financial advice, maybe seen as soft. But in the high-stakes game of investing and building a business, emotional discipline isn't soft at all. It's often the absolute key difference between building wealth and rapidly losing it.
And we need to go deeper than just saying, don't go shopping when you're sad.
Right. That's superficial. We need to talk about the deep cognitive biases that are constantly working against rational financial decisions.
Like what?
Well, the market itself is almost perfectly designed to exploit our emotional weaknesses. It acts like a giant transfer mechanism for wealth.
Transferring from who to who?
From the impatient and the emotional to the disciplined and the logical. Two biases, in particular, probably destroy more wealth than any recession: loss aversion and confirmation bias.
Explain those quickly.
Loss aversion is our tendency to feel the pain of a loss much more intensely than the pleasure of an equivalent gain. It's what causes people to panic sell everything during a market dip, locking in losses because the fear of further loss becomes unbearable.
Okay, and confirmation bias.
That's our tendency to seek out, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. So if you're really excited about a risky investment, you'll tend to only notice the positive news about it and ignore or dismiss the warning signs. Very dangerous.
So the wealthy, or those building wealth, they don't somehow eliminate emotions. They're still human.
Of course. But they implement systems, mental models, rules to bypass those immediate emotional impulses when making key decisions. They force logic to take the lead, especially when things get chaotic.
They maintain that almost surgical calmness during financial storms.
Think about it. A major market correction hits. The average person's lizard brain is screaming, sell, get out, prevent more pain. That's pure loss aversion.
Mm-hmm.
The individual with emotional control, however, They pause, they breathe, they step back, look at their predefined strategy, assess the underlying fundamentals, and often they see the crash not as a tragedy, but as a potential opportunity, a chance to buy quality assets that are temporarily on sale.
Because they understand that a temporary feeling, like fear, can lead to a permanent destructive financial decision, like selling low.
Exactly. It's about playing the long game, even emotionally. It's delayed gratification in the face of acute discomfort.
And they use tools to help with this, right? Like
Yeah.
automation.
Absolutely. Things like pre-commitment strategies are huge. Automating your investments so the money goes in regardless of market noise. Setting strict rules for when you will enter or exit a position before you're in the heat of the moment, these things remove the need for instantaneous, emotionally charged decision-making.
So if you find yourself able to pause, take a breath, consult your plan before reacting to market news or a business setback.
Then you are exercising real financial mastery. That's sign 4.
Okay, learning, emotional control. Now let's look outward. Sign number 6, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Ah, the old saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
It sounds like a cliche, maybe, but the sources treat this as dead serious environmental strategy.
Because it is. The people in your immediate closest circle, they fundamentally shape you. They determine your intellectual standards, what you consider normal or possible. They influence your acceptable level of risk tolerance, even your baseline emotional energy.
It's like an environmental factor that can either act as a powerful accelerator for your growth.
Or a heavy anchor, severely limiting your trajectory, dragging you down.
So the sources really emphasize the need for deliberate, strategic community building.
Absolutely. Think about the negative side first. If your inner circle is dominated by people who mostly complain, who blame external forces for their lack of progress, who prioritize comfort and avoiding challenges above all else,
That negativity is contagious.
it inevitably drags you down. Their collective scarcity mindset, their focus on limitations, it creates this kind of gravity well you have to constantly fight just to maintain your own positive trajectory.
So the wealthy, or those aspiring to be, are much more intentional about this.
Highly intentional. They actively seek out and cultivate relationships with people who lift them up. People who are talking about goals, about ideas, about innovation, about strategic collaboration, people who challenge them.
They deliberately choose to spend time with others who are, in some way, smarter or more successful or more ambitious than they currently are.
Why? Because energy, ambition, knowledge transfer, it's all contagious in both directions.
If you're constantly in conversations about possibilities, breakthroughs, how can we build this?
Your own mental framework inevitably shifts. It moves away from, I can't afford that, or that's too risky, towards, okay, how can I build that, or how can we make this happen?
So curating your environment, choosing your circle carefully, it's actually a form of investment itself.
Absolutely. You invest carefully in your financial assets. You must invest just as carefully, maybe even more carefully, in your social and intellectual assets, your network.
And that dynamic, being around higher achievers, it forces you to raise your own game, doesn't it?
It challenges your perceived ceiling. By consistently exposing yourself to people who operate at a higher standard, who have bigger goals, who demand more of themselves, you are naturally pulled upwards. You start to expect more from yourself. You raise your standards. You increase your output.
So consciously distancing yourself from persistent negativity or stagnation.
Yeah.
It's not about being unkind or elitist.
No, it's about strategic self-preservation. It's vital if you want to build and sustain momentum towards significant goals, including wealth.
Okay, so we've covered strategy, resilience, self-mastery, environment. That's 9 signs. Incredibly powerful framework.
It really is. But as all our sources seem to stress, none of them, not a single one, truly works reliably or holds up long-term without the final and arguably the most foundational sign.
This is the bedrock. It's
Yeah.
one everything else is built upon. We are talking about sign number 10,
Yeah.
truly believing you deserve wealth.
Yes. The sources consistently frame this as the ultimate determinant. Why? Because it operates at the subconscious level. It's your core programming.
So you could have all the right strategies
Signs 1, 7, 9, long-term thinking, systems, multiplication.
and all the resilience.
Signs 2, 5, 8, seeing opportunity, managing risk, being comfortable with discomfort.
But if deep down, your internal operating system holds a fundamental limiting belief,
Beliefs like, I'm not really good enough for that kind of success, or wealth is somehow inherently immoral or greedy, or even just rich people are just lucky, it won't happen for me.
If those beliefs are running the show subconsciously,
You will unconsciously sabotage every significant success you manage to achieve. It's almost inevitable.
how does that sabotage manifest?
That limiting belief acts like a powerful internal brake pedal. It ensures that when you do finally start achieving real traction, real success, you'll find a way to push it away.
Through what kinds of actions?
Maybe through sudden, impulsive spending sprees that wipe out your gains, or making careless, uncharacteristic investment errors right when things are going well, or simply neglecting the very systems you built, sign 7, because deep down there's a part of you that doesn't feel worthy or comfortable holding on to that level of prosperity. It feels alien.
Wow. So the inner voice of someone destined for wealth sounds different.
Profoundly different. It rejects the victim narrative completely. It doesn't default to blame or excuses. Instead, it asks, why not me?
There's a sense of entitlement, but maybe in a positive way.
Perhaps worthiness is a better word. They hold an unwavering conviction deep down that their time is highly valuable, that their contributions, their ideas, their efforts deserve fair, even abundant compensation, that their dreams and ambitions are entirely valid and, crucially, achievable by them.
And what's really fascinating about this sign, this core belief, is how it interacts with all the others we discussed.
Exactly. It's like the catalyst, this
Yeah.
core belief in your own worthiness and potential. It validates and powerfully reinforces every single one of the other positive behaviors.
How so? Give an example.
Okay, well, if you truly believe you deserve success, you'll naturally have more confidence to take that calculated risk.
Sign 5.
Right. Because you believe the potential reward is something you're capable of achieving and handling.
Makes sense.
If you believe your time and ideas are valuable, you'll naturally demand to be surrounded by other high achievers who reflect and respect that ambition. Sign 6. You won't tolerate being dragged down. If you believe your future self is capable of great things, you'll invest heavily in learning and self-improvement. Sign 3. Because you see it as compounding the value of someone destined for success yourself.
So the core belief isn't just passive. It directly drives action.
It translates directly into discipline, into confidence, into positive daily choices. It ensures you negotiate effectively for your value, you charge appropriately for your skills and services, and importantly, you maintain the structures and habits necessary to sustain wealth once it starts flowing your way. It gives you the confidence to say yes to abundance and opportunity, and no to scarcity thinking and self-limiting behaviors.
So for anyone listening, if deep down, somewhere inside, you have that nagging feeling, that sense that you're genuinely meant for more.
That little voice.
Yeah, that internal conviction that your life holds greater potential, that inner knowing that you are built for success, even if your current reality doesn't reflect it yet.
That, according to the sources, is the most powerful signal of all. You must listen to it and trust it. That's your inner wealth speaking. And the moment you start aligning your actions with that deep belief,
The physical manifestations of wealth, the outer results, have a much, much higher probability of following.
believing you deserve success isn't arrogance. It's the necessary prerequisite for acting like someone who achieves it, which in turn makes achieving it far more likely. It fuels everything else.
So that wraps up our deep dive into these 10 clear signs, these predictors of future wealth, which seem largely independent of where you stand financially today. We've really tried to show that wealth isn't primarily about luck or just raw talent or even just getting a massive paycheck, though those things can help.
Right. It's fundamentally about the sophisticated mental, emotional, and yes, structural framework that you intentionally construct in your life. It really is about how you leverage time, how you build scalable systems, how you manage fear through calculation, and how you relentlessly invest in your own knowledge and growth.
And if you are listening today and you recognize even just a few of these signs resonating with you, maybe you are already prioritizing long-term learning. Maybe you do analyze risk. Instead of just fearing it, maybe you are actively trying to curate your environment.
Then the key message is you are already on the path. You already possess some of the invaluable habits and the core mindset that doesn't just attract money, but knows how to retain it, grow it, and sustain it over the long haul. The foundation is there.
So the strategic action now, for anyone listening, is what?
Identify the signs where you feel strongest, and then consciously focus on strengthening the habits related to the signs where you feel weakest. Keep learning. Sign 3. Keep strategically pushing yourself outside that comfort zone. Sign 8. And really lean into and cultivate that fundamental belief in your own deserving nature. Sign 10. Use that belief to fuel the consistent implementation of all the other 9 habits.
Okay, because wealth isn't some lucky lottery ticket you just passively wait for.
Not at all. It's built. Strategically, methodically, often uncomfortably, through the choices you make and the intentional discomfort you are willing to embrace starting today.
So maybe a final thought for everyone to take away.
Go analyze your actual daily decisions. Look
Yeah.
at how you spend your time, your energy, your focus. Are most of your activities designed primarily to pay you today? Or are they designed strategically to generate exponential returns for you 5, 10, 20 years from now?
That gap.
Yeah.
The gap between those two answers.
Gap will likely define the trajectory of your eventual